Hey guys, I'm just gonna do some like food for thought writing. I mean, you can take it seriously or not take it seriously. It's just kind of to get your mind thinking. All right, so let's say here, I'll just start drawing, and I'll just go with the flow here. We have a massive black hole in the center of our galaxy, and we have stars surrounding it, obviously. Okay, and then we'll just say like that's, you know, the spiral or whatever, the flow of time. Okay. Now, let's imagine for a second that black hole, inside there's a universe of its own. So we'll just say we're going to draw that same black hole. I'm just going to connect it like that. Okay, we'll just say, looking in, this is where matter, hold on, sorry. I need to hold the camera better. Okay, we're just going to say this is where matter freezes. Kind of like, you know how they call it a solid state drive for the new computer memories? They call it solid state. Well, basically, frozen matter would be in a solid state, wouldn't it? If you really think about it. Okay, so anyways, so this is where we'll just say, look, if we're in this universe and the flow of time is going this way, or the flow of motion, force, we'll just say force is going that direction in this universe, and that means it's going into this universe. And the same thing, it would appear, let's just say this is a whole nother universe, right? So we'll just say, so what would happen is you would have the matter from the stars, right? It would be spread out more, like more towards the outside, because the entropy would increase. And then as you get closer to the middle, towards the singularity of the actual black hole, it'd get smaller, right? Okay. So basically, there's two event horizons. There's one from this one's perspective, and then there's one from this perspective. You could even say that these aren't even stars anymore. You could even say that these are galaxies. Well, we'll just say these are actually black holes, right? That this is a universe, because a universe is a cluster of galaxies, right? And then the first law of thermodynamics states that all energy cannot be created nor transformed, or created nor destroyed, just transformed. But then the second law of thermodynamics basically says that entropy will always increase until it gets to absolute zero. So it basically says the universe will just freeze, right? So we need to have there's a loophole, like literally a loophole. They call it a fucking hole, a loophole. And that's, black holes are universes, they're portals. So the universe is basically a PMM, a perpetual motion machine. It's an open and closed system simultaneously. So from this universe's perspective, the flow of time is going inwards, right? Because of force. Okay, we'll just say matter attracts force, right? Because in supersymmetry, force and matter are identical, and every particle has a partner particle with the opposite charge. Okay, so let's just keep playing around with this. So we'll say this is a whole new universe, right? This would be the white hole, and then so the flow of time would actually be going opposite. It would be going out like this, right? And the entropy would keep going out until it does what? It hits the event horizon, which would be the point where the expansion of the universe is traveling faster than the speed of light. So, from this universe perspective, if we were to enter this universe, we would see time going backwards. And from this universe, if we were to escape the event horizon somehow, we would see this universe going backwards, because the flow of time, because in the Big Bang, okay, so it's like this. I'll draw it in 2D, okay? So we'll just say this right here is the Big Bang. We'll just say this is a white hole, and then we'll say this, okay, white hole. And actually, what the reality is, you have a shitload of as it gets further away, the entropy increases until it completely. So as the further away you get from the white hole where the Big Bang was, the further the matter is until it completely freezes, and then there's no entropy left until it reaches absolute zero, which would mean it would actually create another universe within itself, if you think about it, from the perspective of where the white hole is. So we could actually do this too. We'll just say this is and what's on the other side of a black hole, a white hole, right? So we'll just assume that. So we can actually see that. And then in this universe, so it's like it overlaps. You see how the dimensions can overlap each other? So this universe, and then it freeze. This would be the event horizon. Let's just do that. This would be another event horizon. So, okay, so there's the white hole. Let's just say this is the black hole of the other universe that created the white hole to begin with. Okay, we'll just do that. So it's sucking in, stars or whatever. And it's pushing, and inside the black hole, this is a two-dimensional, so it's kind of hard to explain in 2D, but okay, so we'll just say, so the flow of time is going this way because this is force, okay, and then this is matter, okay, so force would be like time, the arrow of time, okay, so then the force would go this way, but there's also a black hole attracting, well, not even a black hole, just the event horizon of entropy attracting the energy from the Big Bang. It's confusing because force and matter are equal, right? So it's like confusing, but it's simple. So the energy from the Big Bang would be expanding our universe, but at the same time, on the other side, there would be a Rosen bridge. Man, I paused the video on accident, so I'm gonna have to edit or use Power Director, so it's gonna show that. Okay, well, anyways, what was I saying? So this universe, there's a white hole right here, right? And boom, we have a whole universe right here in a cone. Okay, and each one of these could be different galaxies, right? You know what I mean? Like, okay, but within this, we'll just say we enter this universe there. So this whole thing right here, this is an event horizon of itself. It's like basically where entropy reaches absolute zero, right? And then they say the universe would die, but no, it wouldn't, because the dark energy exists throughout the whole universe, and light energy, right? So it's in a state of superposition. So it has to be an open and a closed system for it to be a PMM, a perpetual motion machine. It's the only way. So so we could do the opposite over here, and then we'll draw like this. So basically like that. So you have, and then you could even say this is a white hole expanding into this universe where it freezes right there. You know what I mean? So it's like the dimensions kind of overlap depending on, so basically we live in a black hole within a black hole within a black hole within a black hole within a black hole, and it could honestly, it's pi, the number pi, how it can go on forever. This is pi, right? Just imagine this going on forever in an infinite curvature of space and time. But in reality, it's just a line or a zero, or it's a line and a zero simultaneously. So it would be like this, in a state of superposition. So yeah, I think time is actually an illusion, or the flow of time, depending on the state of matter we're in our universe. So if theoretically we were to travel to another universe, we might actually see time going backwards. Then that question, is there something called predetermination? Well, like is the future set in stone? I want to say no, because if there's an infinite amount of black holes and an infinite amount of universes, then theoretically that's what gives us a choice in the present moment, is a theoretical, like, yes, there's like, let's just say that, okay, we'll just say I'll just draw a line or a dot right here, and we have different timelines. Okay, let's just say now these timelines, they already exist and you can predict them. However, where choice comes in is, what timeline do you want to walk down? And there's literally an infinite amount of timelines that you can choose, and that's called choice. Like, no one's controlling my pen right now except me. I'm the universe, right? So there's an infinite amount of timelines, right? And then you can even fork from those different endpoints, quote unquote endpoints in that system. Let's just say endpoints, right, from beginning to end, and you can even fork even more timelines off that, right? So it's like a timeline within a timeline. So it's basically, yeah, that's, and it kind of looks like, it kind of reminds you of like what, like a tree with like branches and flowers or something, right? So if like you're gonna draw a branch, you'd have like what, or you'd have like a tree, and then you'd have a branch, and you have like what, twigs or sticks, yeah, the twigs, and then you have like the leaves. So it's almost like, you know, nature copies the cosmos in a way, and our brains also copy the cosmos. It's a little bit sloppy, but I think you guys can understand what I mean. So when it comes to consciousness, I wonder if actually, because I'll put the link in the description below. There's a guy named Athene. He has a lot of controversy. Personally, what I believe about people is there's going to be people that talk shit about people, and like you can make up like people. There's a lot of controversy around him. I'll just say I personally believe there's a difference between truth and facts, and I think facts exist within like this, within an infinite number of parallel realities. So in one dimension, you know, he could be a con artist, and in another dimension, he could be telling the truth. You know, it kind of just depends on until you make that actual, I want to say measurement, but until you put it into a solid state or I would say a decision, right? But even solid state's kind of an illusion. So I would say, so there's all these different parallel realities where this being could exist that's different, doing different things until you actually know the facts, right? Or the truth. But the thing is, there's so many different parallel realities, and even in the way that things are organized in nature, there could be so many infinite different types of like flower species, if you really think about it, that exist that we don't even know about, or that possibly exist that are hidden from us, or there's just like, so like between facts and quote unquote scientific research like chemistry, there's a lot that we probably don't know about because they exist in other dimensions where in those realities it does exist. And in our reality, it doesn't exist. Not yet, at least, anyway. But anyways, in his video, he talks about consciousness. I'll put the link in there. And he talks about how consciousness is basically like, he thinks it's self-awareness. I don't personally believe consciousness is self-awareness. He thinks it's an endless feedback loop. So like this, like basically with no center. He thinks it's like you're looking in the mirror, and it's like when you reflect and that you're self-aware, the universe basically is constantly reflecting your self-awareness back at you, like and that's how you're self-aware. I don't know how to explain it like he did. I'll post his video in the description, and then what was I going to say? So he says there's no center of consciousness, and why you need to be selfless is because to get rid of the identity or the self or whatever, and because he said there's no center to consciousness. But actually, I think if let's say hypothetically the universe is this, right? It's an infinite curvature of 0 and 1, or that in superposition, right? Black holes within black holes within black holes. Your universes within universes within the universe, but overall it's all within the same universe, right? Basically, it's a closed system and an open system, so it's a loophole. There would be no, and since there would be no center, well, then we have to figure out where is the center. If our brain can only understand the universe because of our senses, then how evolved our brain is. Let's say this is our brain, whatever. Okay, I'm gonna draw like a weird brain. Okay, you know that Stephen Hawking quantum foam and Hawking radiations, it's basically the same thing, right? The energy of black holes is radiating throughout the universe, so that would exist within our own brain as well, right? So if we can understand the universe and we can only see it based off of how capable our minds are of perceiving the universe, then if our consciousness had no center, then what if our heart actually is the center, is the source, like where the actual Big Bang is? Because where are you going to find a white hole? If you go in the universe, you're just going to find entropy, like nonstop. You're not actually even going to find a white hole. So there's got to be a place in space and time where there is a source of consciousness. And I personally believe it's in the center of your chest. And I think it goes up. So this would be an open system, and your mind would be a closed system. So basically, like this, your mind like sucks in your senses, like, you know, like you suck in light with your pupils and stuff. Okay, so this is like a black hole. Your heart's like a white hole, and I think the problem is people, what they do is, let me draw this. They turn their heart into a black hole, and you know how like feeling empty inside, like you're not loved or whatever, and then their mind is also a black hole, so they have nowhere to get their energy from or love or whatever, right? So they're in a closed system. That's a dead system. The laws of thermodynamics say that system will die. So the only way is actually to create a portal from your heart to your mind. And then I think so I think it's like that. And if your heart was open and your mind was both open, if these were both open systems, well then what? So that's a good question. We'll say, like, you know, this is your head, this is your heart. Now if these were both white holes, well then they wouldn't complete each other, they wouldn't connect, right? So like one has to receive and one has to give. Well, I wonder if actually, what if your mind was, what if your heart was a black hole and your mind was the white hole, and it was actually expanding, because I said like how time was reversed, but it's actually feeding your heart. I wonder if it actually just takes turns, and this is like a Rosen bridge, right? And everything, quote unquote, around you is just an illusion. Or here, we'll do this one, because this would be a white hole, right? And then it connects to that black hole, because this would be force and matter, right? Okay. So yeah, this is just some food for thought for you guys. I know I'm not asking you to take me 100% seriously with all this, but it's just to get your mind thinking. But honestly, I felt so much fulfillment when I was in this state right here. Not this state where my heart was open, like a white hole, and my mind was like a black hole. But my mind wasn't sucking in things around me per se. I wasn't like looking out for matter to like consume. I was consuming it from my heart, where the white hole is. If that makes any sense. Like I wasn't looking, quote unquote, in the external world. I completed myself. So I'm the open and closed system. Does that make sense? Yeah. So yeah, I think that's it. I'm going to recommend a song for you guys. I'll put it in the description below, but it's called Aerials by System of a Down. And I'll put that video that I recommend in the description below. Alright guys, have a good day. Bye.